In the vibrant and tumultuous landscape of Nigerian journalism, few figures stand out as boldly as David Inyene Hundeyin. Known for his fearless investigative reporting, David has carved a niche for himself as a journalist, unafraid to challenge the powerful. His journey has been marked by both accolades and adversity. David's life took a dramatic turn in 2020 when he found himself in grave danger due to his involvement in the NSAS protests. Fearing for his safety, David made the difficult decision to flee Nigeria. In early 2021, he sought asylum in Ghana, where he hoped to find refuge from what he described as political persecution. In May 2022, David was granted refugee status in Ghana after a lengthy process. The Ghanaian government recognized the legitimacy of his claims and issued him a refugee travel document. This new chapter in his life allowed him to continue his work without the looming threat of arrest or violence hanging over him. All that would change the following year when the military junta overthrew the Nigerian government in July 2023. David's life took yet another turn after he leaked a sensitive document that allegedly detailed orders from Tinubu for Nigerian commandos to intervene in Niger. He was designated an enemy of the state by the Nigerian military and intelligence agencies. The Nigerian government quickly responded and tried to lean on the Ghanaian government to have him brought back to Nigeria for prosecution despite his refugee status. David responded with a video in which he passionately appealed to the Ghanaian government not to give in to the demands of the Nigerian government. He also exposed a failed attempt to have him illegally rendered by the Nigerian intelligence agency.
I was informed that a Nigerian intelligence agency, I'm not sure whether it was the National Intelligence Agency or the Defense Intelligence Agency, but one of these foreign intelligence institutions dispatched a jet to Accra to basically have me illegally rendered to Nigeria. Apparently they wrote a letter to the Ghanaian government accusing me of apparently aiding terrorism.
In November 2022, he published a documentary on Bola Ahmed Tinubu's drug case. His life, which had been upturned since 2020, took another course. His investigations raised uncomfortable questions about Tinubu's academic credentials and alleged past involvement in narcotics. As his articles gained traction, David became a person of interest in Nigeria, facing increasing scrutiny and threats from the government.
An accountant living in the Chicago area who worked for Mobil Oil Nigeria with a declared monthly income of $2,400 had just deposited over $1.4 million in the bank. Drug dealers need accountants too. The main character of this story is an individual whose entire existence is as puzzlingly mysterious as it is loud and public.
Following the fire at Dangote refinery, David once again found himself amid controversy after he revealed an offer from a climate change group to have him write a damning story to discredit the existence of the refinery. David's rejection of the offer surprised people who believed his criticisms of Dangote in the past would make him jump at the chance to throw him under the bus. As usual, he took to his Twitter handle to explain his position. First of all, my criticism of Dangote refinery has always been about the timing of its delivery and the politics that made them commission it in May 2023, nearly 2 years before it was due to be fully operational. That was, and remains, an entirely valid criticism. Every other criticism I offered revolved around concerns of monopoly business practices and potentially turning Nigeria's energy market into a monopoly, which is also a very valid concern. Ideally, one entity should not control the energy market for 200 million people. However, where the choice presented is between a potential domestic energy monopoly and the imposition of eternal energy poverty and import dependence by foreign actors, which side do you think I'm going to pick? You think I'm going to campaign for the continued poverty of my continent for the benefit of some rich white guy simply because I don't like Dangote?
Oh, this was a story where I was essentially just supposed to color in the blanks, fill in the gaps, and put my name on it. And it also became very clear that this story was intended to use the language of environmental activism and concern about climate change and Nigeria's energy transition commitments and all those related things.
David's passion for a working country spreads across Africa. He shares his thoughts on the socio-economic and political issues affecting Africans and Africa through his Twitter page. Following the suspension of Kenyan-based African Streams Media on YouTube and across all Meta apps, David warns of the danger of divergent news censorship by people he describes as the Lobito Corridor people. He says, "Unfortunately, the Lobito Corridor people are not capable of changing their worldview or adopting new tactics, because here we are in big 2024, and Blinken is here accusing me and the guys in Nairobi of being Russian government cutouts." This tells me two very important things. One, the work that African Stream and others in the non-Western controlled African media space are doing is having a real effect in cutting through decades of foreign propaganda and raising the independent consciousness of the new generation of internet-savvy young Africans. The US state propaganda machine cannot keep up with social media, so it is lashing out with petulant stunts like holding a press conference falsely accusing an independent media platform in Nairobi of being run by RT with zero attempt at providing any evidence for such a claim. 2. Washington, D.C.'s Lobito Corridor government is planning to go to war in Africa. The first act in war is controlling the narrative. This is an attempt to destroy sources of alternative viewpoints so that Africans can once again go back to having only America, woo-woo, as our news. When the information war is won, then the shooting war will commence. Dear African, you are under direct attack. Raised in an upper-class Jehovah's Witness home, David described how going on evangelism to parts of Lagos that were opposite, different from the plush neighborhood he was raised in, forced him to see the reality of the majority of Nigerians. He would later break away from the faith, which he calls a cult, when he got married in 2015 to a woman whom his family did not approve of. The marriage ended a few years later. In a post on his Twitter handle in July 2023, David tacitly said he had found love again. David has 2 published books to his name. The first, The Jungle, a personal journey with the enfant terrible of Nigerian journalism, whose launch came laden with controversies and was finally released in 2023 to critical acclaim. The book was ranked among Nigeria's best-selling non-fiction titles in 2023. In his sophomore book, Breaking Point, A Journalist's Quest for Salvation, in Nigeria's Chaos, released in January 2024, David writes about the challenges he has faced, reflecting on his private struggles. He talks about the emotional toll of his investigative work and the pursuit of truth, all while seeking moments of joy and fulfillment amidst chaos. His work has not gone unnoticed. David has received several prestigious awards, including the People Journalism Prize for Africa in 2020 and the GRC and Anti-Financial Crime Reporter of the Year in 2021. He was also the 2023 James Curry Fellow at Cambridge University. However, no prize has equaled that which he has had to pay for the work he does, where he lives a life of constantly looking over his shoulder and no place to call home, as he reflects in a post on his Twitter handle. Personally, have done my part, and I have paid a terrible price for it. Just how terrible you really have no idea. The last time I had a fixed address, I was 28. I'm 33 years old now. I have never tried to be a hero. Everything I ever did was because I genuinely believed in walking my talk and acting my beliefs. That's why I've never asked for help or complained about my circumstances. Today, David Hundeyin stands as both a troublemaker and a savior, a title that reflects the polarized views surrounding him. To some, he is an enemy of the state. To others, he is a champion of truth and justice, a champion who, unlike the people he fights for, has had no place to call home. 4 years ago, on October 20th, 2020, my ongoing journey began with the Lekki massacre, which happened just a couple of kilometers from my apartment. Within the next 17 days, I was forced to smuggle myself out of Nigeria, and I haven't been able to go back since.